Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Michael Agora from Mega Command, and it's a beautiful scenery out here in the American prairie, the American wilderness, and I just wanted to shoot a quick video and just catch this little moment of beauty that I like. And I've spent some time here in the wilderness, and it's actually much easier to get a lot of work done here. Because, I'm born and raised inner city Chicago, and that's actually a very stressful, very high density, like a lot of people there. It's a very stressful environment, and everyone's in go mode all the time, and everyone's trying to make a buck. But when you come out to like the wilderness, or you come out to like nice places here, it's much more easygoing, and actually for me, it's easier to get work done. Because there's less distraction. There's less stress. Here, I'm gonna actually change hands here so you can look at the cool scenery. But there's less stress out here, so I actually get more stuff done, and I get a lot more great ideas. So what do I want to talk about today? Basically, I wanted to talk about the law of category. The law of category says that it's better to be first at something than it is to be better at something. So it doesn't matter so much if you have the best offer or the best product. What actually matters is that you're first in the category. And this is a very important marketing concept, very important for marketing strategy. I'm going to be adding more material to the Mega Command Alliance, which is my paid membership program that you can join right now. That's going to teach you how to advertise and actually win at advertising, and use real strategic tactics, real strategy, rather than some of the other junk you see on the internet. Anyway, so I've been thinking about this law of category, which says that it's better to, like I said, be different, and it's better to be more unique. It's better to stand out from other people than it is to try to beat them at what they are. This is why anytime you try to copy your competitors, you just look lame, and it just doesn't work, because you're not first. You didn't do it first, so people always see you as that copycat, that number two. And the truth is, there's a lot of copycats, because it's actually easier to copy than it is to produce something original. But that's a losing strategy. That's called being a bottom feeder in business, in marketing. So rather than being a bottom feeder, you should stop maybe trying to compete with the biggest fish, and start and just be competent in your home base, competent where you're competent at. So, if you live in, say, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and you have products that are working very well in Sao Paulo, Brazil, man, you wouldn't want to expand that market to Asia or just some random place, especially the place that doesn't speak Portuguese. Rather, what you want to do, you probably want to focus on Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's called the strategy of the week. And all your advertising would be geared towards Sao Paulo, Brazil, until you saturated the market and gained maximal market share. So, we're going to take a look at the mountains one more time, because it's getting so dark over here. Beautiful. But yeah, finishing with this idea of the law of the category. So say there used to be different beers. Back in the day, there was a lot of local breweries. Everything was local, but it started getting globalized. It started getting, one brand would just cover the whole nation. That became like Budweiser. That became the king of beers. So Budweiser was the number one brand because it was known as, a German beer, which when people think of beer, they think of German beers and stuff like that. So Budweiser was more of a German sounding name, and it was also easier to pronounce for the average American than some of these other names like Hacker Shore. You've seen some of these names of beers. So if you wanted to start a beer company and Budweiser's already number one, you don't want to start, we're a little bit better than Budweiser. What you want to do is you want to invent a new category. You're like, oh, this is the first light beer. So you invent Miller Lite. Miller Lite. That's how Miller Lite competed. My hand's getting tired, so I'm going to change hands here. That's how Miller Lite started competing. They started their own category, which was light beer. Before like the 60s or 70s, or I don't quite remember the exact date, there was no light beer. It was just like regular beer. But then people started getting like calorie conscious and carb conscious, and light beer became a thing. So light beer is already a thing. So how can you compete? What is the strategy of the week to actually make this happen for you? I live in the Midwest. I live in Chicago. And in the Midwest, we have something called the Great Lakes. Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. So say if I wanted to start a big beer company, maybe I just compete in the Great Lakes. And there's actually a beer company called Great Lakes Brewing. Wow, think of that. And I bet if you go to the West Coast, no one's heard of Great Lakes Brewing. But if you go to the Midwest, if you go to some places like maybe Minnesota or Wisconsin, I'm sure a lot more people have heard of Great Lakes Brewing, and they have a lot of market share there, and they can compete with a brand like Budweiser. What about if you want to start out really small, like let's say just a market in a city? You're just starting out. You're just a new entrepreneur, startup. You want to start in your own neighborhood, or you're just your own town or your own city. So going back to the beer example, in Chicago we have a beer called 312. Now you ask, what does 312 mean? Well, actually that's the top area code in Chicago is 312. So not surprisingly, that's like the most frequently seen beers in like all over, Chicago. If you go downtown, people were much more likely some places to get a 312 than like a Budweiser or Miller or whatever, because it tastes better and it's local. It's 312, so everyone from Chicago knows it. So this idea of constantly segmenting everything and dividing things. People say don't be a divider, be a uniter. But sometimes you want to divide and you want to create your own category so you can be the leader in that category, so you could be number one. Do you see the geese? Or maybe they're not geese, they're just birds. We have geese in Chicago. I'm going to read you one last quote. I'm going to read you out of this book one last little quote here before it gets really dark, because it looks like the sun is setting. Okay, so law of category. After IBM became a big success in computers, everybody and his brother jump into the field. Burroughs, company I've never heard of. Control Data, General Electric. Did you believe that General Electric made computers? Honeywell, NCR, RCA, Sperry, Snow White, and Seven Dwarfs they were called. Which dwarf grew to become a worldwide powerhouse with over 126,000 employees and sales of $14 billion? A company often dubbed the second largest computer company in the world. None of those companies, the most successful computer companies in the 70s and 80s, next to IBM, was Digital Equipment Corporation. IBM was first in computers. DEC was first in microcomputers, and that's a company that doesn't exist anymore, because when they tried to switch out of the microcomputer market, DEC went out of business. Okay guys, so it's Michael Gore from Mega Command again. This is kind of a new experimental video, so maybe it didn't turn out so crisp. My hand's not so stable. I'm gonna get a tripod. My last tripod fell apart. But it's good talking to you, and join the Mega Command Alliance if you haven't already. That's how you really learn advertising. Go to my website, megacommand.com, for free information. Sign up to the list. And that's it. It's Mike Gore from MegaCommand.com. I'll talk to you soon.